Greetings, international cinema fans. Today, or tonight's, feature film is called Outsourced. Outsourced. Released in 2006. About 103 minutes long. It's not that long. It's a short little tight, light-hearted, cross-cultural romantic comedy that actually has some business aspects to it that reflect globalization trends in today's modern business world. This was a film released in 2006 that actually was so popular it spawned a short-lived television series on NBC. I think it only lasted about a year, if that. But the film's pretty good. Came under high acclaim and critically received positively, and general audiences loved it, and it's a crowd pleaser here for the World Regions Classic. So I think you're going to like it. Now let's get to some background of what this film is all about. As the title suggests, outsourced, that's a business term that's kind of synonymous with offshoring, if you've heard that term at all. And what these terms mean is when a business, any business, takes a component of its business process and pushes it outside of its own control or own running of the operations and lets a third party do it. Somebody else does a part of the business. Not the whole business. You're not selling the business. You're taking part of it. Like what? Well, say you take the accounting services of your firm, or the customer service component of your firm, or maybe certain select parts of the manufacturing of your product, and you let another company somewhere else do that part of your business. Now, why would any business do that? Well, why does any business do anything? To make more money. So if you would allow, you may be a great business. You can pick any business. All major international businesses now have pieces of their business that they let somebody else do. Why? Because somebody else can do them cheaper, faster, more efficiently, whatever. Maybe doing it somewhere else is cheaper labor. Maybe it's cheaper raw goods. Maybe it's cheaper corporate tax. Maybe it's cheaper anything. But for whatever the part of your business process is that you move somewhere else, you would do it to save money. There's really no other reason to do it. You do it because they do it better, faster, cheaper, and your company saves money, and therefore your company makes more money. Now, when we hear the terms outsourced or offshoring in today's world, we typically think, this big business is going to take part of its services and move them somewhere else to another country. And that has become part of the common vernacular of what it means. But that's not necessarily so. It's not just you're moving a part of your business to another country. Because outsourcing can also be used to describe a public service, a government service that the government stops doing and allows a private company to do. Namely, things like, say, garbage collection. Big cities or even small towns used to have their own garbage trucks and collect the garbage, but over time they thought, well, we're a small town or village. Why are we buying and servicing and having to keep up with garbage trucks? Let's let a private company that specializes in garbage collection, let them do it. That would also be called outsourcing. But it has, again, in common vocabulary, in common vernacular in today's 21st century world, really become synonymous with, you're taking part of your business and moving it to another country, truly offshore, off the shore of your country into another country. Now, to summarize, why would you do this? Cheaper labor, laxer environmental laws, maybe higher efficiency, probably cheaper corporate taxes, cheaper business taxes, cheaper whatever. That's why you push your business somewhere else. And this has really been going on throughout, I don't know, all of human history, at least certainly since the world economy has become the globalized world economy the last 500 to 600 years. I mean, it makes sense. They do something cheaper in the West Indies or China, or you get this product cheaper there and move it here. Yeah, that's what businesses do. So this isn't a new phenomena. However, I do want you to know this. It has the term itself, outsourced, or outsourcing, is really kind of just come into common vocabulary since the 2004 U.S. presidential election, where it really was kind of demonized, where people started to say, hey, all these American companies are moving American jobs overseas, and that's hurting the American economy, and it's making more unemployment in America. And it was John Kerry, actually running for U.S. president, who really kept bringing this up, saying, hey, we can't let these American companies do this. and he even called them Benedict Arnold corporations, specifically for companies that were moving assets, large amounts of money or expensive stuff, off to, say, the Bahamas in order to intentionally just avoid U.S. corporate taxes. Again, that's offshoring as well. So moving your assets, moving money, or moving jobs or part of your business somewhere else, all of that would fall under the offshoring thing. And again, that 2004 U.S. presidential election is when people started openly talking about it, going, what should we do about this? And this is really a negative. The whole term became kind of demonized. And that brings us back to this film, because that's the title of the film. It's called Outsourced, but this is a lighthearted comedy drama, so how can it be a demonized thing? Well, you're going to see right in the opening parts of it where it's an American company who's saying, hey, we're moving overseas because it's just way cheaper labor over here. We can get rid of all these American jobs and do it cheaper somewhere else. But it does this in a, again, lighthearted romantic comedy atmosphere that also deals with the hilarity of smashing two very distinct different cultures together, and then watching the happy collisions of misunderstandings unfold. Now, for this film, the collisions of culture are American culture, obviously, and India. We're finally getting back to some stuff about this film. It's in India. The film starts in Seattle, Washington, America, and it ends there, but that's just the bookends of it. The vast majority of the film takes place in Mumbai, India. Okay, okay, India, got that. It's a big country. Woo-woo. There it is right there on the map. Soon to have the world's largest population. It's the second largest, biggest population on planet Earth right now after China, but of course it's growing faster than China. And India is a pretty good-sized country. I believe it's a top 10 country, but I'm not so much concerned with the size of India right now, is that we want to focus on where Mumbai is. What's Mumbai all about? The capital of India is New Delhi. That's up in the northwestern part of the country. Mumbai is actually on the west coast, kind of central west coast India. And you may have heard of this city before in passing reference, because it used to be called Bombay. That's right. Bombay is the same thing as Mumbai. Bombay is the term that the British gave this city, this major international trading port, for 1,000 years. When the British took over the Indian provinces, they renamed this place Bombay. And it's only been in kind of the last 20 years, I think, that a kind of sense of Indian nationalism cropped up, and people said, hey, we're going to start reverting back to our old names and get rid of the names that the British gave us. I say that because you're going to hear people reference it both ways in the film. And if you ever visit Mumbai/Bombay, you'll also hear people on the street reference it. Some people still say, oh, it's Bombay. We don't, oh, yeah, it's Mumbai, whichever. So, same city, and it's a very major, important city in India. Why? Well, it's not the capital of the country, that's New Delhi, but Mumbai is the capital of the Indian state of Maharashtra. Big state right there in central India. It is the most populous city in India. If you just look at the actual borders, the official borders of the city of Mumbai, it's the second most populous metropolitan area in India, and it's the 5th most populous city in the world. So if you just look at the city borders, official borders, it's the most populous city. If you looked at the greater metropolitan area, it's the second biggest population in India. New Delhi probably has the greater metropolitan area. However, it's the 5th most populous city in the world, with an estimated population somewhere between 19 to 20 million. Yeah, that's kind of New York City size. That's Tokyo size. And really, if you start looking at the greater metropolitan area, it's harder to define exactly where that is. You could be looking at 21, 22, 23 million folks. So it's the one of the largest cities in the world by population. The first or second in most populous in India, depending on if you're looking at the city or the greater metropolitan area. And it, for sure, is the wealthiest city in India. So if you don't remember anything else, remember this. Mumbai is kind of like the most cosmopolitan, wealthiest financial, commercial, and even entertainment hub of India. This very up-and-coming, most populous state on planet Earth. It's also one of the top 10 centers of commerce in terms of just global financial capital movement. So Mumbai is super, super, super important in India. New Delhi is the political capital. Mumbai is the heart and soul of India. And I said it was the entertainment capital of India as well. I'm pretty sure that's where the Bollywood productions are. And Bollywood is the Indian Hollywood. And I believe Bollywood puts out more films every year than Hollywood does. So entertainment, finance, business, this place is the hub. And it's a little bit tricky too because we as outsiders look at major world cities. We're like, oh, it's a dot. They're dots on a map. Okay, well, let's zoom into Mumbai a little bit closer so you get a better sense of the geography of the place that will help you understand what's unfolding in the film. And that is, it is more like a Manhattan. There's pieces of it, and there's this big peninsula where it's kind of the city center of Mumbai. And this film is supposed to take place more in the more rural outskirts of Mumbai. But again, much like New York City, there's Manhattan, but then there's all the boroughs. So there's people all over the place, and that's what you're going to see in Mumbai. The main character is going to fly into Mumbai, and then get on a train going to the outskirts, to more lessly densely settled, but still kind of part of the greater metropolitan area. I think they even call the place that he's in is like Garapuri. I don't know if that's a real place or not in the greater Mumbai metropolitan area. Let's pretend it is, but I couldn't really find it on a map. But again, the peninsula is the city center, but then the mainland stretches out for a long time. That's still kind of considered Mumbai. Got it? Okay. So one other thing about the place called Garapuri that they reference, we're in this village of Garapuri. There actually is a real Garapuri. Let me zoom into it on the map here. It's a little island that's kind of in the bay there, south of the metropolitan area downtown Mumbai. And I'm telling you this because Garapuri, the island, is a real place. And they feature it in the film. They're going to go to it at one point. I have no illusions that it probably is the real place that they go to for the on-location filming of this movie. But again, whether there's an attached village called Garapuri, I do not know that. But that island is real, and I believe that's where they actually go in the film. Cool? Cool. All right. So let's learn a few other things about this film before we watch it. You already know about American culture. I said this is a great cultural film because it's one of the funner films to use in a world regions class is when you take someone from one culture and plop them down into a completely different one. Fish out of water scenario. That's always good for a few laughs. So you already know about the American culture where our main character is going to start. And he's going to be plopped down into Indian culture. Now, let me just reference a few of the things that are quite distinctly Indian culture that may help you understand the film as you see them referenced. First off, everybody says, Namaste. Namaste. Very common, popular greeting in the subcontinent, that is India. Clasp your hands together, kind of thumbs on chest, just a slight bow. Namaste. It's kind of a hello, but it also can be a and see you later. So it's a greeting and a departure kind of thing. You'll see people do that the entire film. You're also going to see a particular holiday depicted in the film that's actually becoming quite popular in America. So maybe you've already heard of it called Holi. And Holi is a spring festival known as the Festival of Colors. And why is it called the Festival of Colors? Well, I don't know, but you know it's the Festival of Colors because people take this powdered colored stuff and smash it all over each other. So everybody puts on white and hits each other all day with powder, and then there's big parties at night. I believe there's even one here on Tech Campus, and it's a spring festival. I think it's based on a lunar calendar, so there's no exact date. Like Christmas is on December 25th. No. Most holidays around the world are floating. And so this one, I believe, is lunar-based. It just happens usually in February or March, or again, early, pre-spring kind of festivities. So you'll see that happening. Cool? Marks the end of winter and arrival of spring. Holi. You're going to see, of course, references to many temples, gods and goddesses. Hinduism is more of a way of life, but people call it a religion because those not from the region just don't understand it. So it's more of a, here's how these people live. And yes, they have these gods and goddesses that maybe they're praying to, and there's this division of society called the caste system, and all this stuff is wrapped up together, and it's just kind of Indian tradition. But outsiders like us say, well, it's a religion. Fine, whatever makes you feel better. And outsiders would also see all of these gods and goddesses and all their manifestations and say, oh, well, this is a polytheistic society, many gods. Maybe. I think a lot of Hindus would say, well, yeah, there's all of this lineage of gods and goddesses and all these temples that we pray to them in, or give sacrifice to them in and stuff of that nature. But all of the manifestations of gods and goddesses are simply the different arms and fingers and toes and appendages of one singular god. So polytheism versus monotheism, that's up to you to decide. This wasn't supposed to be a whole lecture just on Hinduism. But again, it helps you understand the film because you're going to see the stuff all over the place. It's prolific in the society. And maybe you know some of these Hindu deities already, like Ganesha, the elephant god, the cool kind of human elephant dude, or Hanuman, the monkey god. He's really cool, usually orange. Ganesh is usually pink. And then there's Shiva and Krishna. They're the kind of blue dudes or dudettes. Hell, I don't even know. And one of specific note that I wanted to point out before you watch this film is Kali. One of my favorites, Kali. Kali the Destroyer. It's a woman too, and she has skulls and holding all this stuff, and you'll see pictures of it during the film. The thing about all these mini gods and goddesses and stuff is that my understanding is they're more like saints. The way that Christians look at patron saints, let's say, that's the way that you should interpret gods and goddesses in Hindu culture, specifically as you see them in this film. And what do we do with patron saints? People in Christianity wear pendants or have little pictures or icons, and they pray to the saint, hey, I'm the saint of professors. Can you help me do this lecture? I think that's more on par for what's going on with the Hindu lineup of gods and goddesses. And people have individual ones that they pray to in individual places for individual things. I've actually partied in India multiple times, and I love it because there will be little temples, especially in big cities. Like this one block will be a Hanuman block, and so you'll have little temples outside that people light incense or leave a few coins for. And again, it's like a patron saint thing. You just, hey, do a little prayer, wish me luck, hey, I could use your help. That type of affair. And again, you'll see this all across this movie. Look for it everywhere. Look for idols and gods and goddesses and pictures and references, again, particularly to Kali, becomes critical in the movie. And that's what's going on with all that. The other thing that you may not know reference to as younger folks, not as experienced as me, is they're going to reference the Kama Sutra a bunch. And it becomes part of the comedy of the film. Okay, what's the Kama Sutra? How do I keep this PG/PG-13? It's an ancient Indian Hindu text, widely considered to be the standard work on human sexual behavior. Many would refer to it as the how-to sex guide that's like a couple thousand years old. And a portion of the work, it's a big work, and a portion of it is specifically on practices and positions for sex. And they're named hilarious names of this position or that position. And I'm just going to plant that seed and let you think about that as you watch the film, so at least you'll understand the reference, because at one point they even stay in the Kama Sutra honeymoon suite. And you get the joke more if you understand what it is that the Kama Sutra is. And remember, monkey pulls the turnip. What? Just remember, monkey pulls the turnip. Okay, well, this is already going too long, so let me wrap up a few other things for you to pay attention to as you watch this great film called Outsourced. Pay attention to wealth disparity in Indian society. It is still huge. It's one of India's biggest problems. So even this is a comedy, and they're not going to address it directly, this is a society where there are haves and there are have-nots, and the gulf between them is gigantic. So again, this is a comedy, so that's not really that serious, but watch for it. Watch for how some people live versus how other people live in India. It's worlds apart. Pay attention to the way that personal space is very different in India as opposed to America. I'll just leave it at that. Personal space. How comfortable the American character is with people being close to him and not so close to him. I'll look for other cultural differences like what hand are you supposed to eat with and why in India? Again, I'll let you figure this out. Also pay attention to differences in culture with concepts of public expressions of or displays of affection. Very different from America to India. And even the idea of love and the practice of marriage. How is it different from one society to the next? And there are a variety of course, of other cultural differences to pay attention to as you watch the film, but those are some of the highlights. How are things different from this society to the other? By the way, pay attention to how they're the same, where humans are kind of the same in the United States versus India. Because we have a lot of similarities, but the differences are funnier. And if you have time, if you're really into this, you can also pay attention to the business themes that are addressed in the film, because this film is actually used as corporate training, cross-cultural corporate training. In that, pay attention to the leadership and communication skills displayed by the main character in running his business, employee management and motivation, and how it's portrayed in the film and maybe how it's different from your personal experience. Cross-cultural communications and misunderstandings. And these are all important business issues in today's world, because in a globalizing world in which many jobs and services are being outsourced and many corporations deal in multiple countries, you have to pay attention to these things. How does this very simple business practice here differ if we're going to move it to China or Australia or, South Africa? So that's part of the kind of learning stuff that you can pick up from this film, but it's also a really good time just to watch it and enjoy it. So hopefully you'll do a little bit of both. Hopefully some of those cultural notes that I've stuck in there will help you understand the film and get some of the jokes a little bit more. But for now, let's watch the film, and then we'll come back at the end and summarize a little bit about what did we glean from this film, and did you have any other questions? But for now, enjoy Outsourced from 2006, 103 minutes long. Namaste.